Once upon a time, in a rainy night, with relentless drops falling from the dark sky onto a mysterious woman. A shining amulet hung from her neck as she held a crying baby in her arms. With a determined look, the woman left the wailing baby at the door of a majestic castle, whispering to him that she would come for him on the promised day, for he was the child of hope. We find ourselves in a futuristic city, where vehicles floated in the air and technology amazed with its advanced sophistication. Among the crowds, a young man named Akuto-sai stepped off a train, marveling at the frenzied activity in the train station. As he ascended the stairs, he was pushed by an enigmatic purple-haired girl, who, as he would later discover, would play a significant role in his destiny. Akuto found himself face to face with an elderly woman, who dropped her suitcase, scattering all her belongings. With a kind gesture, Akuto offered to help and carry her luggage, but the old woman adamantly refused. Despite his insistence, Akuto was unexpectedly attacked by the girl who had pushed him earlier. She turned out to be the granddaughter of the old woman, who, in a protective frenzy, believed her grandmother was being assaulted. Amid apologies, the girl revealed her name as Hattori Junko, a student from the Magic Academy where Akuto had recently been recruited. It turned out that Akuto was an exchange student privileged to study at the prestigious Magic Academy. Knowing nothing about this new and unfamiliar city, Hattori offered to guide him to his new destination. Along the way, they conversed, and Akuto shared his dream of becoming a high priest to make the world a better place. Akuto's words deeply touched Hattori, revealing her own roots as an heir to an ancient warrior family that had protected the empire throughout generations. They arrived together at the academy, where Hattori showed Akuto the impressive facilities before heading off to her classes. Before parting ways, they made a pledge of friendship and loyalty, committing never to betray their ideals. Upon arriving at the academy, Hattori shows Akuto around the facilities, but then has to go to her classes, leaving him alone. Akuto is received by his advisor, Toriai Mitsuko. She informs him that all students must undergo an aptitude test to determine their ideal profession. The test involves placing their hands on a crystal ball that will reveal their destiny. With expectations of becoming a high priest, Akuto anxiously places his hand on the crystal ball. To his surprise, the answer is completely opposite to what he expected. He is destined to become the Demon King. The room becomes alarmed, and everyone flees upon learning that the next Demon King is present. Confused, Akuto follows his advisor to the classroom, where she explains that the Demon King was an evil being who wreaked havoc in the world. His classmates, including Hattori, react with panic and feel rejected by Akuto. During the class president election, Hattori challenges Akuto to a duel. Though Akuto manages to temporarily neutralize her, Hattori becomes enraged and ruthlessly attacks him. However, Akuto stops her attack, causing an explosion that destroys the classroom and leaves Hattori unconscious on the floor. In his room, Akuto finds Hiroshi, the only classmate who admires him rather than fears him. Together, they decide to visit Hattori's dormitory so Akuto can apologize. As they touch the window, Hattori angrily emerges, chasing them with the intent to harm Akuto. The chase leads them into a forest, where Akuto encounters a red-haired girl who seems to protect him. Hattori attacks them, and to defend himself, Akuto channels energy into his hand, creating an explosion that once again leaves Hattori defeated and unconscious. Unexpectedly, a girl named Koron emerges from a portal. She is an observer and has been watching Akuto in action. We ventured into an ancient convent where a sorrowful melody resonated in its silence. On the floor, a little girl shed tears of sorrow. However, the sadness was interrupted by the appearance of a brave boy in front of her. With words of comfort and affection, he managed to calm her distress and gifted her a bird-shaped amulet as a symbol of hope. The boy disappeared into the distance, leaving the girl watching him depart. Returning to the scene of the explosion caused by Akuto, we discovered that the mysterious observer was actually an android named Koron, sent to guard Akuto. With her abilities, Koron healed Hattori, who lay unconscious after the blast, allowing him to quickly escape the scene. Koron informed Akuto that she would report the events to the academy director. The impulsive red-haired girl beside Akuto appeared nervous and, surprisingly, disappeared from view, leaving her clothes behind on the ground. In the director's office, it was determined that Akuto had no malicious intentions and that the explosion had been a regrettable accident. The director revealed to Akuto his true nature. He was considered of high value by the government due to his potential to become the Demon King. Leaving the office, Akuto sought the advice of his tutor, who explained the difficulties he would face in controlling his immense powers. As a show of support, she handed him an agenda that would allow him to communicate telepathically with his classmates. Upon arriving in his room to rest, Akuto encountered an uncomfortable surprise. Koron was also there. After a brief exchange, Akuto asked Koron to find another place to sleep. Determined, Koron settled in the closet, keeping an eye on Akuto. The following day, as Akuto walked accompanied by Hiroshi and Koron towards his classroom, they ran into Edu Fujiko, the charismatic dormitory president and the most respected girl in the academy. Edu expressed her desire to be friends with Akuto and offered to help him with anything he needed, making it clear that he could rely on her without hesitation. In the classroom, Akuto noticed the absence of two students, Hattori and a mysterious girl unknown to him. The curious and envious eyes of his classmates rested on him as they saw him coming to class in the company of the captivating Koron. In a moment of privacy in the men's restroom, Akuto decided to call Edu, who proposed meeting outside the academy. Knowing that he had to leave Koron behind for the meeting to take place, Akuto faced an unexpected challenge. He had to deactivate her by pulling her tail, hidden beneath her skirt. Akuto, Hiroshi, and Koron were engaged in a lively conversation at a table. Akuto revealed to them that he was going to meet Edu, and Hiroshi offered to accompany him, but Akuto insisted on going alone. Together, Akuto and Koron arrived at the agreed-upon forest for the meeting, only to be attacked by a demonic dog. Despite Koron's attempts to defend herself, her attacks were ineffective. Demonstrating his magical power, Akuto bravely threw himself at the dog and managed to return it to its normal state. In the midst of the chaos, they discovered that the dog was chasing Suga Kana, the girl with red hair and the power to become invisible. However, Suga escaped once again, leaving Akuto and Koron intrigued. In her escape, Suga lost her suitcase, which was found by Koron. In a moment of distraction, Akuto took the opportunity to turn Koron off by pulling her tail. Shortly after, Akuto met with Edu and asked her to help him communicate with Hattori to apologize. Kindly, Edu accepted and offered to be an intermediary between them. Before leaving, Edu extended an invitation to Akuto to join the disciplinary committee, which Akuto agreed to. Additionally, she gave him 2 special pills that would help him understand others' feelings in case his conversation with Hattori didn't go as expected. With these new elements, Edu said goodbye, and Akuto was left alone with Koron. Akuto turned Koron back on, and together they embarked on the search for Suga, who was still being chased by the puppy. Akuto noticed that the only visible item on Suga was a bird-shaped amulet, which seemed very familiar to him. He remembered a moment from his childhood when he gave the same bracelet to a crying girl. Surprisingly, Akuto and Suga were the children in that memory. In an unexpected turn, Suga jumped on Akuto completely undressed. Koron witnessed the situation and warned about the possible misunderstandings that could get Akuto in trouble. However, Suga clarified that it was all a misunderstanding and agreed to make amends, with the condition that Akuto became her friend. Meanwhile, Edu called Hattori to falsely report that Akuto had threatened her to arrange the meeting. However, Hattori agreed to meet with Akuto. In a surprising twist, it was revealed that Edu was an evil girl who sought to manipulate Akuto to harness his power as the Demon King. As the night came to an end, a door opened in Edu's room, revealing the head of a man inside a crystal capsule filled with green liquid. Edu revealed her plans to manipulate Akuto and kissed the man through the glass. We find ourselves in the past, witnessing the story of Edu when she was still a young girl. Young Edu clung to her communicator as she played with her brother. However, cruel fate took away her companion in a fatal test. Heartbroken and sad, Edu swore to become an unstoppable force, believing that only the strong survive. The narrative jumps to the present, where Edu plans an attack on Akuto. The head of a man in a capsule reveals to her that the pills she delivered to Akuto are not what they seem. They contain dark magic that will make Akuto fall madly in love with Edu, fulfilling all her desires. Meanwhile, Akuto enjoys a hot bath with his friend Hiroshi, but their privacy is invaded when Koron, not understanding the concept of privacy, watches them, surprising Hiroshi as he gets out of the tub. After this peculiar incident, Akuto and Koron engage in a strange conversation about male private parts, delving into the topic. The story jumps to the moment when Edu calls Akuto, summoning him to the 3rd floor of the basement of the old academy building. Excited, Akuto decides to meet Edu to sort things out with Hattori. Akuto arrives at the student council department, being welcomed by the president Riri Shiraishi, who explains to him the responsibilities of the disciplinary committee in charge of ensuring compliance with the rules in the academy. This revelation surprises Akuto, worried about how his classmates could misinterpret his association with the committee due to his stigma as the future Demon King. While Akuto prepares to leave for his meeting with Hattori, he has to shut Koron off in his room. However, Suga appears, and they both enjoy a pleasant afternoon together. As evening falls, Akuto politely asks Suga to leave, and then attempts to deactivate Koron. However, unaware of Akuto's true intentions, she allows the contact, unaware that he plans to shut her down. With Koron deactivated, Akuto heads towards the meeting point with Hattori, unaware of the dangers lurking along his way. Akuto arrived at the location and, without warning, was attacked by a group of students who were waiting for him. Despite the surprise attack, Akuto seemed unaffected, protected by his powers. In the blink of an eye, he defeated several students, breaking their limbs and causing them to fall to the ground. In the midst of chaos, a couple of students brought out Hiroshi, who was bound and beaten. This situation enraged Akuto, who began to brutally defeat and injure all his opponents. He seemed invincible. However, in the climax of the battle, he came face to face with the group's leader. With a quick movement, Akuto threw him against the wall and began to break his bones one by one. Just when the situation seemed to go too far, Hattori appeared to stop him. Hattori decided to confront Akuto and show him how monstrous he could be. But despite the provocation, Akuto refused to fight. He wanted to talk and clear everything up. However, when he tried to consume the pills Edu had given him, he realized they had been taken away. The next day, Hattori organized an army of students to hunt down and defeat Akuto. Though at a disadvantage, Akuto evaded the attacks, trying not to harm anyone. But soon, he was cornered by all the students. As Hattori prepared to attack, Suga appeared and urged them not to fight. She knew that they both cared for each other and didn't want to hurt one another. The other students began to question Hattori's actions and turned against him, feeling betrayed. Akuto and Hattori, united, faced the others, but Suga intervened again. Along with Koro, they made it rain rice over the battlefield, causing everyone to forget their differences and enjoy a feast. In Akuto's room, Suga confessed that she had taken the suspicious pills, which were analyzed by Koro. It turned out that the pills didn't have the effect that Edu had assured Akuto. Furthermore, Suga revealed that she had used the pills to sprinkle on the rice during the conflict, turning Edu's plan against her. Finally, we see Edu being pursued by her classmates who, as victims of the pills, are now deeply in love with her. We encountered Edu's brother, who communicates with her through his communicator, and he leaves her a very confusing message before leaving. Then we see her brother running through a ruined place until he encounters a mysterious individual. This man seems to have betrayed the Edu's brother, and he was responsible for ending with his life. At the academy, Tutor Torii organizes a mana control training session where students have to pair up and throw energy balls at each other. Akuto partners with Hattori, but when he returns an energy ball, it causes a massive explosion that leaves the field destroyed and Hattori unconscious. To help Akuto control his energy, Torii suggests that he attends a concentration training in the mental self-discipline chamber. Akuto agrees, and as he prepares in his room, he tells his plans to Koron, who decides to accompany him. In another room, Edu talks with a head in a capsule and plans to manipulate Akuto to obtain his Demon King power. Meanwhile, a sad memory of Edu at his brother's funeral is shown, and his mother reveals that his brother died for having seen something he shouldn't have. As night falls, Akuto heads to the mental self-discipline chamber with Koron. However, they realize they are not alone when Suga, with invisibility powers, joins them. Edu also appears and waits outside the chamber to use a device that will control Akuto. While inside the chamber, Akuto finds a map that appears to guide them towards a treasure. Suga needs to use the bathroom, but upon leaving the chamber, he bumps into Edu. Edu confronts the head in the capsule in his room about the map, but the head denies having written it. Hattori receives a mysterious message, and Edu encounters Teruya Aiko, a student from another school with access to the academy. Edu discovers that the map has been stolen and spread throughout the academy thanks to Suga. Students get injured while attempting to find the treasure, so the student council president asks Akuto to prohibit the search. Akuto makes an announcement, but Teruya Aiko challenges him to search for the treasure on his own. Edu hands Akuto a magical artifact to help him in his quest. Akuto accepts without considering the intentions it may have. Akuto embarks on the search along with Hiroshi, Koron, and Teruya Aiko, and they come across a set of stairs that lead them to a dark underground place. The name Yamato Buikairu is written on the map, but no one knows who that is. Akuto ventures into the underground ruins alongside his companions, Koron, Hiroshi, and Teruya, in search of the mysterious hidden treasure in this forgotten place that time has left behind. However, fate has an unexpected challenge in store for them. A dark tornado, a menacing and malevolent being, stands in their way, ready to take their lives if they don't leave immediately. Faced with such a demonic adversary, Teruya doesn't hesitate to launch an attack, but her efforts prove futile. That's when Akuto, wielding the magical artifact granted by Edu, unleashes his full power to confront the tornado. His abilities manage to conjure a spell that spectacularly disperses the storm. Meanwhile, the cunning Hattori has silently followed Akuto's trail and heads straight to his room. There, she finds Suga sound asleep in her bed. Tension fills the air as Hattori interrogates Suga about Akuto's whereabouts, suspecting that Teruya is scheming something wicked. Alarmed, Hattori immediately sets off in search of him. Back in the depths of the underground, Akuto discovers the tomb of Yamato Buikairu, the name mentioned on the mysterious map. Without hesitation, he reaches into the tomb and retrieves a communicator. The peculiar artifact contains a secret message that none of them can decipher. Meanwhile, Edu observes Akuto's actions from her room through a crystal ball and recognizes the found communicator, as it is identical to the one she used to use with her brother. Just then, a startled Suga appears out of nowhere, utilizing her invisibility powers. She convinces Edu to accompany her to where Akuto is, promising more information about her brother. In her eagerness to find Akuto, Hattori unexpectedly falls into a trap of earth, being transported directly to the underground area. Akuto and his group arrive at an imposing place called the Knight's Research Facility. Inside, they are attacked by a living suit of armor, but Akuto showcases his power and easily defeats his opponent. In this place, Teruya makes a crucial discovery, a device with a screen that appears to be a tracker, capable of guiding them to their next destination in the search for the long-desired treasure. Guided by the wise and loyal Koron, the group arrives at an enigmatic cave surrounded by hot springs. To advance, Akuto submerges himself in the hot waters, unaware that Hattori is also present, enjoying a relaxing bath. Unaware of Hattori's presence, Akuto and Teruya wade into the warm hot springs. In this tranquil environment, Teruya reveals her true intentions. She is a government agent and is curious to find out what treasure awaits the future Demon King. However, tension rises when Hattori suddenly appears and attacks Teruya, revealing that Teruya is her eternal rival. Amidst the fight, a wild wolf emerges and pounces on everyone, but Akuto bravely intervenes to protect his friends and defeats the wild animal. Teruya separates from Akuto and Hattori and stumbles upon a mysterious key. Without a second thought, he tosses it to Akuto, who receives it with surprise. Suddenly, they decide to escape from that unknown place, leaving behind the unsolved mystery of the key. Hattori gets dressed, and Suga and Edu arrive at the location by flying. Together, they decide to leave the place and return to the surface, carrying with them the mysteries of the treasure and the strange things Akuto had found. Edu, upon recognizing the belongings related to her brother, decides to take them into her hands. Carrying the key with her, Edu discovers that she has a special connection to it. By turning it, astonishingly, it creates a portal that transports them to the place where her brother lost his life. There, they are greeted by the student council president, who reveals that the treasure hunt has been an elaborate game devised by the council. Surprisingly, the prize of the game turns out to be a kiss on the cheek for Akuto. However, Edu is not satisfied with what is happening and runs towards a mysterious door that houses a powerful and dormant being. The student council president prevents Akuto from following her, considering it would be extremely dangerous for him to enter the place since it was designed for the Demon King. Determined to find answers, Edu uses the artifacts left by her brother and awakens a massive dragon. This dragon shows them the last moments of Edu's brother's life, revealing a shocking truth. It turns out that her brother didn't lose his life for failing a test. He was betrayed and lost his life at the hands of the man who had tasked him with investigating the whereabouts of the dormant dragon. Filled with determination, Akuto decides to save Edu, who is about to be attacked by the dragon. Facing off against the student council president, Akuto manages to defeat her and goes in search of Edu, rescuing her just in time. An epic battle erupts between Akuto and the dragon. After a fierce fight, both end up defeated on the ground, unable to continue. However, the dragon recognizes Akuto as its master, as its duty is to serve the Demon King. With the confrontation concluded, the student council president, in an unexpected gesture, gives Akuto a kiss on the lips as a reward for finding the treasure. This kiss holds an important reason beyond the prize itself. Having accepted his fate as the dragon's master, Akuto is forced to live in the underground area, accompanied by his loyal and formidable companion. During a meeting with high-ranking government officials about Akuto, Koron receives an intriguing mission to seduce the Demon King. Convinced that his weakness lies in women, they will use Koron to gain control. Taking advantage of a sunny day at the beach, our protagonists enjoy the sand and waves while Koron attempts to flirt with Akuto, who resists her charms. Despite Akuto making it clear days prior that he had no romantic intentions, Koron persists in her attempts. To escape her, Akuto heads to the underground area to meet Peter Hassan, the dragon, but Koron finds him anyway. On another occasion, Koron creates a misunderstanding between Akuto and Hattori, who becomes upset with him. Akuto asks Koron to apologize, which she does, and Akuto invites Hattori to go swimming to mend the situation. While they enjoy the water with Suga, Koron appears once again and an angry Akuto demands that she stop bothering them. As night falls, following a mysterious presence, Akuto chases Hiroshi, who reveals to him the legend of a monster that will cause destruction when the Demon King is reborn. Intrigued, Akuto escapes from his companions and ventures forth with Koron to find the person who has been watching him. While Etu and the student council president visit Peterhausen to bond with him, the president reveals his desire to manipulate Akuto and control the power of the Demon King. In the forest, Koron disappears while pursuing a presence, and Akuto encounters Suga, with whom he shares childhood memory, discovering an ancient connection. But when Koron reunites with them, a mysterious attack wounds her and knocks her to the ground. We witness the moment of Hiroshi's selection, a test that would determine his destiny and profession. Amidst the memories of that day, Hiroshi discovered with astonishment that he was destined to be a hero, a revelation that he himself found hard to believe. On the other hand, Koron, who had fallen to the ground after being shot in the chest, stood up without showing any signs of pain. Her mission to seduce Akuto had failed, and with sadness, she warned him that it would possibly be the last time they would see each other. She opened a portal and disappeared. Suga woke up and revealed to Akuto that Koron's mission was to control him through seduction. Having failed in her task, the higher authorities of the government would be forced to destroy her. Hiroshi returned home and sat with his sister. She reminded him that he was a hero destined to save their people. However, Hiroshi tried to explain to her that he wasn't like everyone believed, despite studying with the supposed Demon King. After the talk with his sister, he headed to where the other students of the academy were. The next morning, Hiroshi's sister, Yukiko, visited her brother but was greeted by Akuto, Hattori, and Suga. Akuto tried to convince her that he wasn't the Demon King, but the girl didn't believe his words and revealed to everyone her brother's destiny as a future hero. Then, she fled from the place followed by Hiroshi and Suga. Together, Hiroshi and Suga arrived at a lake where they witnessed a strange man causing annoying noises towards the water. Surprisingly, a gigantic worm-like beast emerged from the lake and headed towards the village. Hiroshi's sister was near the strange man and became a victim of his inappropriate advances. Suga tried to help her but also fell into the man's clutches, leaving Hiroshi with no choice but to intervene. However, the man turned out to be much stronger and easily defeated Hiroshi, throwing him into the lake to drown. As the giant worm approached the village, Akuto and Hattori intervened to confront it. Akuto, upon seeing that the man had Suga and Hiroshi's sister tied up, became enraged and punched him. The man introduced himself as Mr. X and revealed his ability to manipulate sound. Akuto and Mr. X engaged in a fierce battle, where the villain's sound-based abilities neutralized the protagonist's attacks. However, Akuto managed to decipher his fighting style and regain the advantage. Amidst the confrontation, Mr. X decided to launch a powerful attack against Hattori, Suga, and Yukiko. At that moment, Koron appeared to save them, revealing that she had won a legal case against the government and could now return as an observer of Akuto. After explaining the situation to Akuto, Koron prepared to confront Mr. X and ultimately defeated him. Meanwhile, Hiroshi fell into the depths of the lake and, upon regaining consciousness, discovered a sword embedded in a stone within a cave. Referencing King Arthur, Hiroshi pulled out the sword and gained the powers of a hero. A mysterious watch appeared on Hiroshi's wrist, which would allow him to activate his hero ability when needed. Upon activating it, a surprising and technological superhero suit enveloped his body. Thus, he emerged from the cave with the purpose of saving his people. On the surface, the worm monster continued wreaking havoc on the village, but Hiroshi, with a powerful attack, managed to destroy it and save the inhabitants. Hiroshi found Mr. X unconscious on the ground and prepared to end his life. However, Akuto intervened, reminding him that it was not necessary to kill the villain. Hiroshi took off the hero suit and appeared back in his normal clothes, asserting that it was the hero who saved the day to protect his secret identity. Back at home, Koron confessed her feelings to Akuto but understood that he didn't reciprocate. She then proposed that Akuto marry Hattori since she was aware of the shared feelings between them. Nervously, Hattori fled from the scene. In the midst of a conspiracy to destroy Akuto, Teruya finds himself embracing a mysterious individual, the very same person who took Edu's brother's life. They plan their revenge to finally put an end to Akuto. We observe a flashback to Akuto and Suga's childhood in an orphanage, where Akuto uses his money to gift Suga an amulet. He promises that as long as she has it, their destinies are bound to cross paths again. In the present, Akuto is sleeping under a tree when Suga wakes him up and joins him for a nap. Edu explores the underground depths in search of magical beast eggs. She confronts a tentacled monster, but manages to resist. Later, she encounters Peterhausen, who questions her presence there without receiving an answer. Edu leaves with a magical beast egg, Akuto and his friends watch the news, which talks about the increase in magical beasts since the Demon King's arrival and the emergence of a new hero. The next day, Akuto looks for Suga to take her to class. She refuses and uses her invisibility power to escape. Akuto seeks advice from Koron regarding Suga, who advises him to be more assertive with her so she takes him seriously. He then talks to Hattori about Suga, generating jealousy in her and leaving him alone. Edu impatiently waits for the beast inside the egg to hatch in her room. While she sleeps, Suga steals the invisible egg. Suga brings the egg to Akuto's room, who throws it out of the window. The egg rapidly grows and opens, releasing a two-headed giant chicken. Edu tries to take control of the creature, but is attacked. Akuto is forced to defend himself and fight the giant chicken. The beast flies towards the nearby city, where Hiroshi transforms into a superhero and pursues it. In the city, Hiroshi defeats the beast and saves a famous journalist with a grateful kiss. Akuto reports the incident to the students during the student council meeting, but since there is no damage to the academy, it is overlooked. Upon leaving the meeting, Akuto encounters Suga, who has decided to attend classes on her own. Hattori goes to talk to Koron about what she said about marrying Akuto, and is surprised to learn that Koron spoke to her parents and they authorized her marriage to Akuto. In a remote village, an elderly man made a generous donation of money to the local orphanage. The grateful children approached him to express their gratitude, but the man asked them not to thank him, but to thank God instead. However, a boy named Akuto adamantly refused, as he did not believe in the existence of God. The caretakers were angry and demanded an apology from him, but Akuto stood firm in his beliefs. At that moment, the boy promised himself to change the world to prevent such situations from happening again. Meanwhile, Hattori received a call from her father, who asked her and Akuto to return to their village as soon as possible to formalize their arranged marriage. After the call, Hattori pondered how to explain marriage to Akuto, determined to do it herself without the intervention of others. Hattori headed to the library in search of Akuto, and invited him, along with Hiroshi, to accompany her back to her village. Both accepted the invitation and embarked on the journey together. As evening fell, Akuto witnessed a conversation between the person responsible of Edu's brother passing away and the academy director. He discovered that the Demon King was being accused of being responsible for the sudden appearance of magical beasts. Akuto confronted the culprit, but the confrontation remained mere words. During the journey to Hattori's village, Akuto began to realize that something was changing in his relationship with Hattori. However, when she tried to explain about the marriage, Akuto completely misunderstood the situation. Upon arriving in Hattori's village, they were greeted by her sister Yuyuko, who revealed to Hiroshi that she had been bitten by a magical beast and feared transforming at any moment. Their arrival at Hattori's house marked a meeting between Akuto and his father, but once again, misunderstandings led to confusion. At night, Hattori's father organized a grand party to celebrate his daughter's engagement. When everyone retired to rest, Hattori went to Akuto's room. However, before she could explain the situation, Akuto interrupted, believing that Hattori was not obliged to do something she did not want. Then, she revealed that her intention was to marry him, leaving Akuto completely surprised. Confused and unsure how to react, Akuto let Hattori walk away with a broken heart. At that moment, hidden ninjas in the room attacked Akuto as retaliation for emotionally hurting Hattori. Akuto and the ninjas ventured into a forest that turned out to be a trap. In the midst of the confusion, Akuto encountered Teruya, who proposed marriage due to the power and influence of her family. However, Akuto rejected the offer and Teruya revealed dark intentions to eliminate Suga. At that moment, Yuyuko and Koron arrived, believing that Akuto was betraying Hattori. Koron clarified the situation and explained that Akuto had more important matters at hand. Akuto opened a portal and headed to the academy library, where Suga was located. In the library, Suga was celebrating her birthday alone, without telling anyone the date. From the window, a group of mercenaries watched her, planning to attack. However, a mysterious man, who seemed to be connected to Edu's brother's memories, appeared and defeated them. Akuto arrived at the library just after and encountered the man who had saved Suga. The man revealed that Suga was key to his plan to defeat the gods. Confused, Akuto confronted the man, promising to protect Suga no matter what. Before the confrontation escalated, Edu appeared, controlling an army of magical beasts, and joined Akuto. Edu had discovered how to control the beasts and was willing to fight alongside them. Akuto, Edu, and the magical beasts prepared to confront the person responsible for Edu's brother passed away. In the midst of an academy ravaged by magical beasts, Akuto fiercely confronts Yamato Buikai, known as the man with memories of Ito's brother. Despite Yamato's immense power and superiority over Akuto, Edo comes to Akuto's rescue and they flee towards the imposing Peter Hassan. However, Yamato doesn't give up, but the academy's director stands in his way, hindering his progress. Simultaneously, Teruya, the father of the young protagonist, arrives at the scene and is tragically killed by his own daughter. She assumes the position of Archbishop of the Suhara religion and rallies all the followers of that faith to fight against the beasts, and, above all, against the Demon King. Meanwhile, Akuto rides Peter Hassan and ventures into a cave, determined to confront Yamato and anyone who opposes his ultimate goal, to defeat God. Hattori, a potential ally, watches Akuto and Peter Hassan in the skies and boldly decides to confront them. However, Akuto avoids the battle and sends her back to the ground. On another front, Akuto faces off against Hiroshi, a formidable enemy within his hero suit, forcing them to retreat. Meanwhile, Akuto and Peter Hassan must challenge a flying ship that threatens to crush them. On the ground, Hattori and her sister bravely fight against human-like beast converts. In another scenario, the Academy director and Yamato prepare for an epic battle while Etu and Suga observe the events from an underground area, Peter Hassan's cave. The battle intensifies and the fate of Akuto and his allies becomes entangled in a fascinating and challenging event that will shape the course of their struggle. In a world ravaged by chaos and destruction, Yamato Buikairu emerges as a time traveler, determined to rescue his beloved who was snatched away by the fearsome Demon King in an unknown dimension. Meanwhile, disaster looms over Hattori and Etu, who believe they have lost Akuto amidst the tragedy. However, Suga, full of conviction, clings to the hope that he is still alive. On his path to victory, Yamato is about to deliver the final blow to the Academy director, but is interrupted by the unexpected appearance of Hiroshi. The latter offers himself as an ally, and together they will face the challenges that await them. Meanwhile, in a dark cave, Etu and Suga are attacked by a strange humanoid creature. The student council president finds herself in a fierce battle against Teruya and his troops. Outnumbered, defeat seems imminent. However, in an unexpected twist, her friends come to her aid, strengthening themselves to confront Teruya and his army. In the cave, Yamato rescues Suga and makes a hasty exit, leaving Etu and a council member bravely fighting the fearsome creature. As the student council members defeat a large portion of Teruya's ninjas, a new challenge unfolds, facing off against Hattori and his family. It appears that Hattori has full control of the situation until the true members of Teruya's army are revealed. They believe Hattori has betrayed his father to cling to power, leading to her defeat by the student council. In the cave, Etu finds the courage and skills necessary to defeat the monster using a destructive freezing machine. Meanwhile, Hiroshi and Yamato teleport to an unknown location, carrying with them the hope of a new future. Meanwhile, Akuto emerges from the rubble, lifting a ship that had fallen on him. Teruya, obsessed with eliminating Akuto, the Demon King, orders Hattori to defeat him. However, Hattori rebels and attacks Teruya, defeating his men. Just as he is about to finish him off, Koron intervenes and prevents him from doing so, reminding him that he must face the consequences of his actions. At that moment, Teruya's father, now half-cyborg, appears, expressing his deep disappointment in his daughter. With determination, Akuto soars into the air, heading towards Yamato's whereabouts. However, a final confrontation looms as Hiroshi, ready to end the battle they had started, approaches him from the front. In an exciting showdown destined to change the course of history, Akuto and Hiroshi came face to face. Akuto, determined to end the fight quickly, rushed towards Hiroshi with unwavering resolve, only to be met with his fierce attack. However, Hiroshi's offensive was short-lived and had to be cancelled, resulting in a common fall for both of them. In a heroic gesture, Akuto managed to cushion the impact and save Hiroshi's life, leaving him in the care of Yuuko. Without wasting any time, Akuto set off directly towards Yamato, his next target in this epic odyssey. Meanwhile, Yamato Buikairu ventured into a place dominated by an imposing giant tree guarded by two warrior androids. With little resistance, Yamato easily defeated the Guardians and unveiled his plan. Suga, known as the Identity, was a tool to fulfill the Singularity contract and obtain the powers of God. Yamato believed that by becoming God, he could rescue his beloved. However, his dream quickly faded when Yamato accessed the core of God and discovered that the Singularity contract was a privilege reserved only for the Demon King. Devastated by this news, Yamato was willing to use Suga to destroy reality, as it was known in an act of desperation. Just at that moment, as Yamato was about to unleash his destructive plan, Akuto arrived to confront him. The two engaged in an epic and frantic battle, where Akuto showcased his formidable strength and abilities. With all his power and determination, Akuto finally managed to defeat Yamato, putting an end to his dangerous schemes. After defeating Yamato, Akuto is determined to fulfill his objective, to destroy God. His focus is on annihilating the network within the imposing tree, which happens to be the epicenter of the entire system. But the tree doesn't remain inactive, it activates its defenses and takes flight. Without hesitation, Akuto embarks on an aerial pursuit of the tree with the help of his loyal companions, Peter Hassan and Suga. Together, they manage to penetrate the interior of the giant tree, and once inside, Akuto mercilessly destroys all the information networks he encounters along the way. However, the tree deploys its final guardian, a black hole, with the intention of sending them to another dimension. Recognizing this threat, Akuto makes the fateful decision to unleash all his energy and destroy the system once and for all. But this comes at a great sacrifice, as Peter Hassan is forced to stay at the core of the tree, ensuring the success of the mission but risking his own life. Before executing his final explosion, Peter Hassan hands a fang to Suga as a memento. Then, Suga manages to communicate with her counterpart from another dimension, and they have a revealing conversation. The Suga from another dimension convinces the Suga of this world that the difficult decision Akuto is making is the right one, as it will allow him to live in peace and truly be happy. With great determination, Akuto detonates the tree, thereby ending the mighty entity known as God. Hattori, an influential being, finally finds Akuto and engages in a conversation with him. He confesses that he abandoned his family and his lineage in order to stand by Akuto's side, demonstrating immense support and loyalty. On the other hand, Yuuko tries to convince Akuto that her sister, who seemingly lacks emotions, is actually in love with him and only shows her embarrassment when expressing her feelings openly. With the conflict resolved, everyone returns to the academy, which is completely devastated. Here, Akuto encounters Edu and the student council president, thus closing a tumultuous chapter. Finally, normalcy returns to their lives, and everyone continues with their routines. But to everyone's surprise, Akuto decides to retake the aptitude exam, and once again, the astonishing title of Demon King is bestowed upon him. With this conclusion, our story reaches its prolonged end, leaving behind a journey filled with sacrifices, loyalty, and revelations that have shaped and forged the destinies of Akuto and his companions. Hit the like button and subscribe if you like it. Write in the comments the word SHIELD if you want more videos like this one.